We are live. Welcome back to another Workshop Wednesday. Same time, same place. Every week, we're here for you, our staging, real estate, and designer community. Welcome, Jennifer, from high in the sky today.
Yes, I love virtual backgrounds. You can literally be anywhere in the world.
That's right. Well, I opted for my actual background for once, so I love playing around with them as well. So I'm super excited for everyone to join us today because we're talking about a hot topic. I'm just saying, let me know if you've ever had to deal with clients showing up at your property and wanting to be there as you stage the whole property. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the comments below because we know, hello, can I get an amen? This has happened. So I've actually printed this handy dandy piece of paper out because it is one of the many resources that we offer our HSRA members. And in addition to this, you also have a training module video from none other than our fearless founder, Jana Usselton. But today we're going to talk through this because I understand, you guys, if you don't know already, we are in the middle of the shift. And that shift, if you're not one of our HSRA members, we've been talking about this a lot in our members only group. We actually have a resident realtor who goes on every Tuesday and gives us a tip, what he's seeing in the real estate industry. And I forgot what it was. I don't know, Jennifer, if you can remind me, but he said that he went into the MLS and there was like 1,100 price reductions within a very short amount of time. 1,100. We are in the shift, people. It is going from, I don't need you, stager. My house is selling in 2 seconds flat to, oh my gosh, the house isn't selling. I need someone to differentiate my property from everyone else's. Where's that stager? Let me call them, right? So we're talking about that. So you're going to get busy if you're in the staging industry. If you're not already busy, a lot of our members cannot even breathe right now. So we are sending them prayers. However, when you get to a property and guess what happens? That owner's there. We're going to walk you through it, right, Jennifer? If you don't have a process and procedure in place, don't worry. We got one for you. Just let us know. So, Jennifer, you are the staging business advisor. You get to make sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing in the staging business, and you coach and you meet with our members every day. So how big of a concern is this to staging businesses?
Well, I mean, it's a huge concern, not just from the standpoint of safety. I mean, safety would be the number one thing, obviously. We don't want that liability of having someone in the property whenever you're there to stage. You don't want that potential for that person to trip over something that's set out that you're in the process of setting up. Their potential of them bumping into a logistics team member when they're carrying in a piece of furniture, which then could bump into the wall and mess up the wall. Or, I mean, there's just a million things that could happen. But also, what's the biggest thing that could happen if you're talking about the potential of having the client in the property while the stagers are trying to stage? Is the clash of opinion. It's all the questions. It's, why are you doing it this way? Well, I don't like that piece of furniture. I don't like that piece of art. Why are you putting it here? You revert back to, you hired us for a reason. You liked our aesthetic, you liked our processes, you liked our pricing, you liked all these things. Now you have to trust the process and let us come in and do our job. And that is one of the biggest things that you do not want a client in the property, because they will distract you, they will detract you, and they could potentially discourage you if they start asking a bunch of questions or complaining about what you're bringing in. They're thinking about it from the standpoint, especially if it's the seller, from how they did it when they lived there. We are thinking about it from the standpoint of the staging professional, of who is going to purchase this property and how are they going to want to see it set up, and how do we best market this property in the most transitional manner so that we can reach as many buyers as possible and have everybody be able to find something that they love about this property and something to connect them to it. So it's a huge concern having people in the property, and it's just essential that your team knows what to do to prevent it and knows what to do if it happens, how to handle the situation gracefully, how to not be rude, but how to express that it is an essential part. So that starts from the very beginning with your production team. When they're in communications with the client, the job comes in and the sale is made, it should be in your agreement so that when the client signs, they sign knowing that they are not allowed to be in the property while we're staging. It should be restated by your staff in the office. It should be restated again before, when you're making your confirmations and getting those door codes and final things before the team comes out. And then your team should have something that is a sign or something in the yard or something on the door that says staging in progress, please do not enter. And then they remove all of that when they leave. And then the call is made to the realtor or something, whoever that person is that set up the staging, and says, all right, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, we are done. The property looks amazing. We invite you to come back in and take a look, and obviously there could be follow-up if necessary. But again, it's more from that standpoint of trust the process. We stand behind these things and whatever, but it's huge that your team knows how to prevent it and then how to handle it if ever it happens. And it does happen. And you have neighbors that come up and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw this property go on the market 2 weeks ago. Can I just come in and take a peek? No, you may not, because they're not authorized to be there. You don't want to be responsible for them tripping and breaking something or bumping into something. So no one in the property except for your staff.
Awesome. Yes. So don't fret. Get your pencil, get your paper, get your notes out. We're going to give you a few steps today on how, if you're not currently implementing some of these, you can. So take from it what works from you. And actually, this is going to work regardless. If you do anything with anyone's property where you do not need other people in the property with you, then you need to take note of this. And we're just going to give you what has been successful in our industry. As some of you know, we do have a staging company, is one of the largest staging companies in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area for 20 years. So when we tell you these things, people, believe you me, we've been there, we've done that. So if we're ready, we're going to go drum roll with step 1. Like Jennifer said, any great house has to be built on a great foundation. So your sales and office team need to communicate with the client about the staging process. Jen just said it. How many times? Make it a challenge within your team. How many times can we put this disclosure in our emails, in the contract, on the reminder text? How many times can we do this so that they know some key critical things? 1, the installation is between the hours of whatever day and whatever time. We will be installing between these hours on this day. Number 2, this is so important. This needs to be bold on whatever you put it on. For your safety, security, and efficiency, as well as our team, the property must be, probably should be in caps, unoccupied. Why do I say this? Because there will be a day you pick up the phone and you say, hey, Mr. and Mr. Couple, do you know, did you look at item number 7B on the contract? Oh yeah, that one says nobody can be in the property, right? I love using that tactic. Know your contract. Make sure your team knows the contract. The logistics team may not need to know the complete contract, but they need to know the item numbers of the ones that affect their job, as well as the staging. Next, let them know that what time will it be completed. Mr. or Mrs. Client, we're going to be there between the installation is going to be between this hour and this hour on this day. Nobody can be in the property. It must be unoccupied. By the way, unoccupied means no vendors, no cleaners, no agents, no neighbors, no kids, no uncles, no aunts, nobody. Unoccupied, right? So we will call and text you once the stage or destage, if you're destaging it, is complete. We know you're anxious. We want a big reveal for you. We want you to see the very best product. We will text you or call you just as soon as it's done. And then who else should we share this information with to make sure that this is a smooth process? So a lot of times in our industry, we're dealing with the agent, the realtor, but the realtor's client is the seller. So he may be relaying information, only half of the information, right? And we kind of also talked through this yesterday on our Excel teams training and sales. The fiduciary duty is to the agent to protect his client. So a lot of times the agents, realtors don't want to give us the seller's information. Everything's going through the agent a lot of times. However, asking this simple question can also mean that you can send the information, you can send updated text and information so they stay informed. We know in this industry that anything to do with real estate, it's an emotional thing. It's emotional when you buy a house. It's emotional when you sell a house. It's always emotions tied to it. So the seller is always going to feel like they have a certain right to it. I mean, for the last bazillion years, they've been saying, this is my home, my home, my home at all costs, protect my home. But now we're creating a home for another family to have. And so it's a little bit of, you have to like tread lightly. So have those steps, get your foundation in, make sure that your team members know what the contract, what part of the contract it's on, what it says. Make sure all the parties are aware that nobody unoccupied. Make sure they know what unoccupied means. And then we get into step 2. The agent, seller, neighbor, or contractor is present or arrives during the stage. What do you do? Oh, that's so great. This is what you're going to do. You're going to smile, because that is so important when you have awkward conversations. Smile and kindly and professionally, like Jennifer said, greet the person, ask who they are and how you can help them. Oh, hey, what are you doing here? Are you XYZ? Oh, is there something I can help you with? And if, however they answer, actually, according to the contract, this property needs to be unoccupied for our safety, for your safety. Is there something I can help you with or someone I can call? Like, it's just very simple, right? Like it had just be very nice. Like, oh, hey, how are you? 9 times out of 10, you know what the person is. Either like a contractor, it's the agent, something like that. But from time to time, there has been times when we get to a property and there's a squatter or there's somebody that's not supposed to be in there. Do not engage those people. If you feel uncomfortable, you never engage. Just go back to your car, get in the car, drive down the street, make a phone call to the office. But if they are there and it's somebody related to the property, you again need to explain that for safety, security, and efficiency of our team, we ask that you return once we have completed the stage. So if it is the agent or the seller or the neighbor, I mean, that's 9 times out of 10. I'm not going to lie. They're building new houses across the street. You think I'm not going to want to go look at them? Of course I am. But you just need to make sure that they know that, hey, give me your number. I'll let you know when it's done. And if they push back, that will be our next step. But if this is not possible, then you call the office about rescheduling. So this is a good one. And the reason why I say this is because you can let Mr. Agent or Realtor know, or seller, well, actually, I can give the office a call to reschedule if this is not a good time for you, but I do believe that there's probably a reschedule fee. Will that work for you? And then they're obviously going to be like, oh no, pump your brakes. I don't want to pay any more money, because we all know people kind of fight us on getting the houses staged in the first place. And then again, reinforcement, what 7A say, inform them that based on the agreement signed by the client, our team has been authorized to stage an unoccupied property. What does unoccupied mean? People put it in the comments. Nobody's there. Not even, I don't know, especially not any spiders or anything like that, but nobody, no human, no insect, no animal, no nothing, nobody, unoccupied. And of course, we are talking about vacant stages here, if you haven't caught on, but we are talking about that. Jen, you want to add anything? Have I missed anything to step number 2?
No, I don't think that you've missed anything. And I love your thought process about, just having that kind attitude, and you're there to help them, and you're there to help them understand or remind them of what to do. So I'm excited to hear what we do when they push back.
They don't push back, do they? Are you kidding me? Of course they push back. They always push back. Again, going back to real estate is an emotional thing. People who are selling their house that they had their babies in, they raised their babies in, maybe a parent left the house to them. I mean, there's so many emotional attachments to a house. So they can tend to kind of stand their ground. What are you telling me? I can't be in the house. I still own this house, by the way, right? These are the conversations or the things that we hear. So you can politely suggest them going to their car or going and grabbing a cup of coffee and let them know, again, we will call you when the stage is complete. I had an idea today. I was like, it would be kind of cool if we had a stack of Starbucks cards in our trucks to say, hey, here's a couple Starbucks cards. Go enjoy some coffee on us and we'll call you just as soon as we're done. That would be pretty smart, right? You're blessing them with some coffee. You're getting them out of the way. Who doesn't want a free coffee? So then if they're still like, I don't want your stinking Starbucks, I don't drink coffee, I don't need it, I'm going to stand right here, then you're going to politely excuse yourself from the property and contact your office manager, the person that's over this. And then you're going to have the office contact the client and take it from there. And so obviously, the people that are in the field, your staff members that are in the field, they're most likely not a customer service agent. They're not a manager or supervisor. They may be in their field, but their main focus, you did not hire them to have these awkward conversations with clients that show up or people that show up on a property. So they can only take it so far, and then you need to take responsibility for it from there. Never, 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 never allow your staff to have an argument with anyone ever. Because what that does is that sets a negative tone. And although it's the person, the employee that works for you that's having the argument, that reflects on your company. So that goes back to core values and understanding what those are and training on those. We have that, by the way, if you need it. And so making sure even doing role play while you do onboarding with people so that you can understand and you can rest assured as the owner, the CEO, the manager, that your staff is representing your company in the best light. So it's kind of a little bit, you kind of have to be very careful on how you move forward with it. But 1, employees want to feel trusted. 2, employees want their bosses to back them at all times. So doing role play is super important for you and your staff so that you know what they're going to say in the situation. And then also to let them know that they never have to accept somebody cussing at them, yelling at them, being forceful. They can cut it off right then with a smile and say, okay, thank you. If you can excuse me 1 second, and they go make that phone call to the office. A lot of times we train our employees to do these things, and then they are trying to do such a great job that they push the issue, and now they want to fight, right? Like, most of our logistics people are men, and they're like, hey, just to the point. Men tend to just sock each other in the stomach and then go out to dinner later, right? So make sure that they know that they never have to accept anything, like yelling, cussing, any of that. Anything I missed on that one, Jennifer?
No. And I definitely, what you're saying about them calling the office and being able to have that diffusing of the situation. And then where they can just wait outside. And it always goes back to that safety thing. If ever anything happens where, and even if you're talking about your staff in the office, you're the one in the office that's going to have to make that difficult call and not argue, but listen to the person be upset. It goes back to the safety. Even if they forgot everything that they signed and everything that they'd agreed to, let's come back to this moment right now, right here. Okay. This is for the safety and protection of our team, as well as for you as the homeowner and the property. We must be able to have full access without any interruption to get our job done. We're going to get in, we're going to get out, and then we're going to let you know exactly when it's done. If there's an issue, and I can think of one specific situation where that was the homeowner when I first started with Model My Home, who was adamant about the fact that we could not tell him by law that he was not allowed to be in his house. It was his house. He owned it, and he was allowing us to come in. We were not going to tell him that he could not be there. So in that scenario, there are some one-offs where you can make that decision. And I mean, we had it during COVID where, people they were working from home. They were teaching their kids from home. I mean, there may be a situation where you're okay with them being upstairs in a room upstairs that you're not going to be staging, where you're not going to have interaction with them. But at the end of the day, you could always bring it back to safety, and you can even push it to them and say, this is for your protection. We don't want to possibly cause you to trip and fall, or for us to, bump into something in the house because our team is distracted. This is for the safety of you and your property, right? However you need to spin it, but helping them understand that most people are reasonable. I mean, I would say that the people that you're going to come to blows with hopefully would be few and far between, but it's just a matter of everybody being on board. And this is where having a really, really great communication, like immediate, instantaneous communication between your office and your team in the field, that is a must-have. You cannot have a break in the day-to-day communication between the office and the field, because stuff can shift on a dime. Your team could walk into a nightmare that doesn't even have anything to do with somebody being in the property. They've got to be able to have somebody there in the office that they can get in contact with, that's going to be able to contact the person who requested the staging. If that's not happening, that's a huge red flag, and your team in the field is left extremely vulnerable because they're just trying to get the services delivered, and then they don't have somebody to follow up with them on the office side.
Yeah, so good. Now, our final step number 4, let's just make a scenario here. So, and this is not too far-fetched, by the way. I'm sure this happens quite often. Let's say, unfortunately, this home is being sold due to an unfortunate divorce. 2 people are splitting up. The husband hired the realtor, and they hired the staging company to come in. The wife does not want to sell the house. She loves this house, and she's very bitter about it, right? So she's refusing to leave. She's going to be there because she wants to make sure nobody scratches the floors she had in, or nicks a cabinet, or the railing that she loves so much on the staircase. She wants to make sure that we don't do a bad job. So what do? What does your team do? We kind of talk through, offering all the things, and being nice and kind. So you inform them that the team, you would call the office. The office would call the person who signed the contract, which is either the realtor or let's say in this case, the husband, and let them know, hey, the team has arrived. We're so excited to get this going for you. But there is a person at the property that is refusing to leave. And then explain that the team has asked them to leave the property, and even offered them some Starbucks cards to go relax and enjoy, but they refuse to leave. Remind them, based on our agreement, what was that? 7A, whatever that is on your contract, it states that we have a contract to stage an unoccupied property. And if they would like to reschedule it, we'd be happy to do that. Our reschedule fee is $1,000. I don't know. I know that most companies is not that high, but you think the higher the price, the more they're going to get that person out of there because they're not going to want to pay that, right? Because they signed off on it on the contract. Remember, people, 7A says that they're agreeing to do this. If it is that we're agreeing to stage an unoccupied property, should someone be there, the reschedule fee is $1,000, $500. You definitely don't want to make it a $50 charge. For the love of everything, the price of gas right now at least needs to cover that. It needs to cover your staff's hours. And not just the hours that they're there sitting there, it's the hours of pulling the furniture. It's multiple staff members. The person that, so you have the person that was on the phone with them to book. You have the person that's picking the furniture, that's designing the stage. You have whoever pulled it. If it's not the same person, then you have the logistics team that are now putting it in the truck and driving the truck, which the trucks are usually very large, take a lot of gas. So that's a lot of time. So for the love of everything, please review your reschedule fee right away. And so, and if that's not possible, then you guys just have to come back. You cannot move forward. And the reason is just because, one, we don't know who that person is. Even if it's the realtor, yes, they promise to be, ethical people, but you just don't know, right? Two, if you hurt them or they hurt you, what's going to happen in that situation? If because they're in the way, your guy stumbles and falls down a flight of stairs, what's going to happen, right? So there's just so many scenarios that we could talk about all day long. We could tell funny stories about the time that this happened. Jen, I love that you had a story. That was amazing. I mean, we literally have stories all the time from our community at HSRA, but it's most important. The best way to make sure that people are not in the property that you're going to stage a vacant stage in is making sure that that point is across from the beginning. As much as it could be dropped in there. Anything that you want your clients to know, whatever disclosure, how many times can your salesperson say it on the phone? How many times can it be put in print, whether that's text, email, it's on the contract? All of those things are going to help make sure that there's nobody there when they get there. I know a lot of our own company and other companies will literally just have the text system going like, today's your stage. We're so excited. We'll be there between the hours. We'll be installing between these hours. Make sure nobody's there. We'll be done at this time. We can't wait to get it done. Make sure no one's there, by the way. It's going to be amazing. We'll text you when it's done. As long as there's nobody there, it should be really fast. Like, how many times can you put nobody's there? It's unoccupied, right? And so just having all of those things in place, just make it a much more easier process for everyone, right? Communication in anything in life is better than no communication or miscommunication. Over communicating is so much better. And so I'm so glad that we went over this topic today. It's kind of like, you got to laugh at it. Otherwise you're going to cry at it. Right. And so we definitely understand that in the staging industry, it can be so hard. Again, real estate's an emotional transaction, either way you go, but we're here to make sure we can help you through this with actual resources that you can literally print this out and you could put it in your process and procedure book. So when you have a new person come on, they know the rules. You don't have to train them. So Jennifer, before we wrap up today, do you have any last minute encouragement or anything I might have missed on this topic?
I don't think we missed anything. I think we definitely were able to cover all of the details. I just want to encourage anybody that's watching that needs this resource or any other resource like it to click on this link that we have at the bottom, which is the www.myhsra.com. You can check out membership. You can check out upcoming events. We exist to build your business, to help you keep your business safe, to have all of these things in place to protect your business and your people and your clients. So we definitely want to connect with you and see how we can help you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. Also in comments, we have some of our awesome staff right now. Joy is in the comments, making sure everyone has answers to their questions. And we are constantly in this group on this page looking at comments. Like Jennifer said, we exist to see you succeed. We want you to build better businesses. And in order to do that, you have to have support. Nobody ever built an empire by themselves, right? So that's why we exist with the tools and training you need to be as successful as possible in everything that you want to do. So we'll be here next week with another great topic. Feel free to reach out to us. You can also check out hsraevents.com. We have tons of events coming up throughout the year. We would love to meet you and have you at one. And you can also, when you go to myhsra.com, there's a discovery call link. Book a call with one of us. We love to talk to you. It's completely free, people. And we're going to ask you why you started your business, where your business is today, and where do you want it to be in 5 years? And we're going to help you walk through that. Maybe you don't know where you want it to be in 5 years, honestly. Like, think about it. Who 4 years ago thought we would be where we are now, having gone through the pandemic for 2 years, right? Like, nobody foresaw that. So go ahead, reach out to us. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. We can't wait to see you. Have a great week.